So, hey again, District 7. Still here at National Convention here in Toronto. And very happy to have Marty Makins and Joanne Bint here with us. I was going to say incoming, but I guess current governors for District 1.
Please.
Yeah, pleasure. So, in addition to some of the external speakers, presenters, some of the association staff that we've had a chance to talk to so far this week, I wanted to start at least having a couple of conversations where time permits with some of the leaders in the other districts. This isn't his first time around the merry-go-round. He was a governor just a few years ago. But, you know, there's a lot of, was it just 1 year ago?
2 years ago.
Two?
Yeah.
2 years ago. You know, there's a lot to be said about how things happen in different areas of the association. And, you know, for the number of us, or sometimes the few that are fortunate enough to be able to go to National Convention, we get to kind of see that. A lot of the times we don't. And having been in District 1 on a couple of occasions when I was national president, I can tell you I had an amazing time and I loved it there. And it's just so unique to see kind of the little subtleties of how people do things differently and what excites them and those types of things. And I guess I'd like to kind of start there, not to take too much of your guys' time because we have the Speak Off starting shortly for the Founders Speaking Award. But Kin in District 1, just tell me a little bit about that whole experience, you know, if it's at a district convention, if it's a club, what's that like for you guys?
Go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, Marty. Kin in general in District 1 is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm sure everyone looks forward to. Everybody looks forward to conventions. That's where your hair gets let down and, you know, you
relax, celebrate a little bit.
Time, make new friends, reconnect with old ones.
Right.
You know, sit across the table, chit-chat, get caught up.
Good.
It's
yeah,
great.
You get to rekindle, you know, some of those friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Kin in District 1 is a lot like kin across the association, I always imagined. I always have a personal belief that kin should be a brotherhood and a sisterhood across the association, from one end of the coast to the other end of the coast. And there's a lot of that in District 1. One of the best things about going and being in District 1 as governor is getting to go to the clubs.
Right.
And whether it's a project or a meeting, the fellowship and the camaraderie that they show to their governors and their deputy governors, can't say enough about the job they do when somebody goes to their club.
Yeah.
They love it, and I love going to each and every one of their clubs.
One of the things I saw when I was out here a few years ago is that even though everybody's close, District 1 seems to be a very, very close team. Almost like, you know, we say it a lot, like a family. Like everybody's together. Tell me, we had the service numbers today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think District 1 had the highest CF dollars for cystic fibrosis this past year, which is not uncommon either. But why I mean, cystic fibrosis is a national partnership and very important for us in 7 as well. We've got a couple of them. But why is cystic fibrosis so important for you guys? You know, why does that really stand out as a key cause for kin?
Well, my year was actually this year that we were the top dogs for the Raisers of Cystic Fibrosis funds. The connection that we have with the chapters and with the foundation itself, the association at like HQ and Cystic Fibrosis Canada, and we have a lot of experiences where we connect with families in general. So we really develop a bond, and I don't know, it's just you walk into a room and somebody says, hey, we're raising money for cystic fibrosis, or hey, we need a donation, could you, you know, we have a silent auction table. Everybody is so willing to jump up and just help you with it. It's just, you know what I'm going to say, you get that warm and fuzzy feeling.
Right.
And I do. It's one of the reasons why I am still a Connect and in the association. My first experience in kin was having to decide whether or not we were going to help a family pay for an oxygen tank for their daughter who had cystic fibrosis and was on a transplant list. Yeah. And I'll never forget it. And that's my relationship with cystic fibrosis and with kin, is my experience when I first started.
Right. Marty?
One thing that stands out to me is that every district has their own specific donation, their own specific cause. Canadian Blood Services, Multiple Sclerosis, STARS.
Right.
District 1, it's Cystic Fibrosis Canada.
Period.
Period. That's what we like. We like helping out Cystic Fibrosis Canada.
Right.
I actually find it to be something that can really gravitate a club to really go beyond the extra mile.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I started a Great Strides Walk in Hamilton. No sport, no nothing. We raised like 11 grand or something. It was good.
Right.
But at the time, my club didn't do anything for cystic fibrosis. Within 3 months of doing that project, they were all talking like CF doctors. They wanted to do everything they possibly could. You know, CF chapter, you want to use our hall? Great, no problems. We're going to come in, we're going to serve you drinks, we're going to serve you food.
No way.
Anything we can do to help out cystic fibrosis. And so I really feel that cystic fibrosis is a cause that can really help the club come together.
Yeah, it pumps.
Well, and there's so much progress, right? And you hear it. And I think one of the things that you guys do very well also is that, I don't know if you, I think you do this every year. I'm not sure if it's the FLC or if it's district, but on the Sunday you do a brunch. Correct me if I'm wrong. When I was there a few years ago, I remember that you had brought in 3 guest speakers, I think. There was one that was an individual with CF, and then there was someone kind of from the organizational side, and then you had someone from the medical side come in to speak to the progresses that we made. And that is so key, you know, like, how much money did you guys raise this year? It was over, what, $300,000, I think it was? So you go out and you raise that money and you cut the checks and all that fun stuff, but to be able to see where that money is going and to understand the progress that it's making and the difference it's making for the people that have that condition is huge. You guys just do that very well.
I think that's part and parcel of having that cause is getting the education behind it.
Right.
Not just to the people who have it, but where that money is going and how it's being spent to cure cystic fibrosis.
Right.
Is a key component of that, because I know a lot of clubs in District 1 love doing a cystic fibrosis night just to get the education out there. It's a strictly service project.
Yeah.
And invite everybody from their zone. It's actually a lot of fun to go to those kind of events.
And I think in amongst our clubs, we're pretty darn competitive too.
That's good.
Everybody wants to outdo the other one. So that is the incentive right there to be better than the next club. And I think that's what really pumps us up to get going too.
Right.
Is we like being competitive. You know, and of course we want to be the top district, right?
Of course. District 1 is very competitive. It's very true, but it's a good thing. A couple more quick questions and then we'll wrap it up because we've got to get to the speak off. But they're both kind of around the same topic. First one is I want you to both think about when you joined KIN versus where you are now. Because there's going to be a lot of people that watch this video that are either new into KIN or have just started and said, there is no way I would ever want to dream of being a governor. It's not me. I'm at the club level. I'm just there. I just want to do it. Think back to when you joined and to where you are now. And where did that path kind of open up for you, and why did you decide to go down this road?
Well, for me, I was invited to go into the club. I'm a charter member of the Oakville Connect Club. I certainly would never have thought, when I had gone to my first convention, I never thought that I'd be somebody that would stand up there and talk to a group of people and to actually know what I was talking about.
Right.
I thought, oh my God, I could never do that. What happened in our club is we had a lot of our more senior seasoned members were moving away, and I found that I ended up being that senior member in our club and having to step up and taking on some responsible roles and trying to teach and give back to my fellow club members. And here I am today, and yeah, I still shake my head and wonder what the heck am I doing, but I'm very comfortable in knowing that I have a great support group behind me, not just in District 1, but across the entire association.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Marty?
I joined Hamilton Kinsman back in 2003.
Yeah.
The club was down to 4 members, and the president at the time made a challenge to the members that were there. He said, if you bring out a prospective member to one of our meetings, I will pay for their dinner, and I'll pay for your dinner and everybody's drinks that night.
Right.
There was one member of our club, Johnny Provolone, who took it upon himself to round up one for everybody, and then went above and beyond and made sure there was 2 guests for everybody, just to stick it to the president that year. So I became a member of KIN because of Spike.
Nice.
But I was rapidly pushed through the system. Within the first meeting, I was made director.
Right.
My first meeting as a full member, I was made director. The second meeting, I was made registrar and director. And the third meeting, I was secretary, registrar, and director of the club. The next year, the president was the same president. He said, "You're going to be my vice president this year, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know." And he chaired the first 2 meetings, and then he said, "You're the man. You're chairing everything from now on." So I did president for another 2 years.
Right.
And I was getting kind of sick of the position, and somebody said, "You should run for deputy governor." And there was no way I was going to beat that guy. It would be like running against you. It wasn't going to happen. But that guy actually called me a night before and goes, "Look, I'm going to step down.
Do it.
But if you want the job, it's all yours.
Awesome.
But I want to make a speech before I do that." I said, "Okay, whatever." Not knowing what I was getting into.
Right.
And I just figured if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do it with full force.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because when I joined this association, I was a complete introvert.
Right.
I couldn't even sit in this room with the two of you right now.
Yeah.
You know, and through the progression of stepping up through the ranks and getting the training and the education, you know, now I'll stand in front of a room of, 10 people, 50 people, 5,000 people.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of the progression, and I'm here because Joe was nice enough to ask me.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So for people that are just starting off in the club, and any advice for them about what they can take and what they can get out of kin? Speaking to people in your own districts and stuff, just kind of jumping out there too. What would you say to them that they're just coming in for the first time? How do they make the most out of it?
How do they make the most out of their experience in kin?
Yeah.
Make sure that you are well prepared. If you're proposing something, make sure that you are well prepared. So nobody can say, "Well, that's not going to work." And if somebody does say that's not going to work, you look them straight in the eye and go, "That didn't work 5 years ago, but if we do it today, it will work."
Right.
And let them believe the convictions that you have.
And be prepared.
And be prepared.
Yeah.
If you have every argument arranged for,
right,
there's nothing they can say. They're going to sit there and sulk in the corner, but they're going to have to agree with you because you've prepared it all well.
Right.
And they just, I'll be over in the corner.
Yeah.
They're going to get upset. That would be my biggest advice. And you know what? Take a risk.
Yeah.
Sometimes people fall into the same trap of doing the same thing over and over and over. Sometimes it's just the right time to break out of that mold and take a risk and do something that you haven't done before. Would be my biggest advice. Jill?
I would say take advantage, and when you're at a place such as a convention, talk to the members, talk to different people. Don't just listen to one individual. Get the entire picture instead of just one side of it.
Right.
And just learn, just ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. There is no stupid question.
Right.
And I have to remember that.
It's something that Joe does really well, and I wish I did it as well as she did, where she's not afraid to ask anybody anything, and we'll get multiple points of view on any subject, just so that she's well informed. I wish I had that conviction to go up to people and do that.
Right.
Good on you, Joe.
But
So last question before we go, say 20, 25 words or less. What do you want to get out of this year? If you're to kind of sum it up into one thing that jumping into this role this year that you really want to be able to do for the association, for the district, for the member that's coming in, what does that look like for you?
I would like to believe that we are going to make a difference, no matter how big or how small. That even if one of what we've set out to do works out, then
right,
we have succeeded. And I want to have a good year, and I really want to be able to meet more of the members and put more faces to the names, and travel a lot to a lot of the clubs, get to know where my fellow kin are.
Right.
If it was for me and Lee, I'd say the biggest thing I'd want is buy-in.
Yeah.
You see how things work in like District 3 and District 4 where, the governors or the district executive of the day, kind of say, this is where we're going to go. And you see everybody in that district go,
lining up, let's do it.
Let's go,
do it.
And have like a whole wave of people doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I look at District 3 and District 4 and I'm thinking, that's so great.
Awesome.
I wish to God District 1 would go, okay, you know what, it doesn't matter what the message is.
Right.
That's the message we want to carry, then let's carry it, and let's carry it together down
right,
that field.
Well, and you've got the strong team to do it for sure, with the membership that you have, and you guys are great leaders at the helm. For Joe and for Marty, I've known Marty a little bit longer, but gotten to know Joe over the last year. And for everyone in District 1, you've got two great leaders ready to help move you guys forward again this year. So
thank you, leader.
Very lucky. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for sharing a couple of minutes with me today. I appreciate it. And again, for people back home in District 7, just one example of some of the great leaders we have there right across the country. And talk to you guys soon.
Cheers.